That's how you debone a catfish cleanly like a cat. Minimum effort. Majestic, symbolic. This is Hanzhong's historic landmark, the Wanjianglou, literally meaning river view tower. The river in its name refers to the Han River, the longest tributary of the Yangtze. The Han is one of the most strategically important waterways in ancient China, and the first major settlement on this major river is Hanzhong. I've spoke about how Hanzhong gave its name to Han Dynasty and us Han Chinese, but what gave Hanzhong its name? The answer is the Han River. Yes, it has the same name and even the same written Chinese characters as the Han River in Seoul, but it's not the same river. I've heard other theories about the origin of the name Hanzhong, but let's just stick with the Han River because it also explains why Hanzhong folks ate a lot of fish. Quite a number of viewers left comments wondering whether I ate fish or not. That's the reputation of Hanzhong's fish. So what kind of fish are popular in Hanzhong?
So that down there is huanglading, yellowhead catfish. It's also known by various other names such as huangguyu, yellow bonefish, or huangyajiao, yellow duck quack, among other names. Surely you see the common denominator here. It is the most expensive variety in the fish tank here because it is preferred for the soft texture of its flesh.
I used to hate fish with tiny bones, like the yellowhead catfish, because they're troublesome to eat. All that effort for that bit of flesh just isn't a good deal, unless you could reduce that effort to a bare minimum. The trick for the huanglading is putting the fish in your mouth tail end first, clamp down until your teeth barely make contact with the spine, then pull the bone out, leaving all the meat with you. Minimum effort. If you've learned the trick, hit that like. That's how you debone a catfish cleanly like a cat. That's how you turn huanglading into lollipop, and its flesh is sweet like lollipop. Initially there's the numbing spiciness from the seasoning, but then the sweetness reveals itself. Perhaps the seasoning even accentuates the sweetness. And honestly, don't be scared by the prodigious amount of spices in this lake of fire. As I've opined in a previous video, Hanzhong-style Sichuan seasonings are milder than those found in Sichuan, giving you the thrill of the heat without burning your lips. Even the lumps of tofu that have sunk to the bottom and been soaking up the flavors are totally harmless. The red broth is so delicious, I'll use it as a dip for tofu pudding from another pot of fish.
And over here, we got the jiangtuan, Chinese longsnout catfish. Another type of catfish, and this one I like a lot because they have a lot of big chunks of meat.
Love the chunky and gelatinous meat and skin, and other type of enjoyment altogether. The Chinese longsnout catfish is known by many names. Here it is referred to as jiangtuan. This jiang is the same jiang as the one in the aforesaid Wanjianglou river view tower. The character jiang means river, specifically Great River. Most of the great rivers of China are called jiang. Take for example the Yangtze is Changjiang. Jiangtuan is called as such because the Changjiang is one of its major habitats. The Changjiang is so great, many of its tributaries are great enough to bear the grand title too, and that of course would include the greatest of them all, the Han River, or Hanjiang. After the fabulous fish dinner, we traveled to Xinhan, a tourist attraction revolving around Han Dynasty, Han culture, and the Han River. The newly built complex is quite magnificent, but exhibits could use the same level of attention. The nighttime show though is visually astonishing, a spectacle that celebrates the epic tale of one of the world's hugely influential dynasties. The stage is set on a large lake that symbolizes the Han River. Here's a clip from the final firework. Though dating to nearly 2,000 years ago, Han Dynasty still influences Chinese civilization today, and even other civilizations. For instance, the Chinese character writing systems in other languages like Japanese kanji, Korean hanja, and Vietnamese hanvan all mean Han character or script. The character Han is often used to denote manifestations of greatness in these languages, like Kenkan meaning galaxy in Japanese, and the aforementioned Han River in Korea. Such greatness originates from here, Hanzhong, Before Liu Bang founded Han Dynasty, he was based in Hanzhong. One of his most famous military maneuvers that paved the way to his eventual success was paving plank roads along steep cliffs, overlooking waterways like the Bao River as a guise to conceal movements of other troops. We will actually visit the Bao River to see one such plank road. Along the way, we noticed a couple of fish restaurants, and remembering the delectable fish from before, we wanted to try more. But rather than taking a chance with an unfamiliar place, we will drive to a farmstay in Hanzhong's Poo Town for our fish dinner and final dinner here. They got a chicken coop with a lot of 土鸡 organic chicken and a pond and more ponds here at 柿子沟水乡 in Sichuan in Poo Town. So a few nights ago we had this Hanzhong style fish dinner and we enjoyed that so much we asked our friends to recommend another fish restaurant. So they took us to this农家乐 farmstay kind of place, and as you can see, we're surrounded by fields and ponds. They raise their own fish and chicken and ducks here, so it should be a farm to table type of meal tonight. So that's corn soaked in some sort of liquor. It smells pretty sweet. It might be sticky rice liquor or corn liquor. It's what the farmstay owner uses for recreational fishing in this pond over here. And you see that's our rod. In this pond are grass carps fed using 蚕豆 broad bean soaked in water, so like really soft broad bean, which is why the fish here is called 蚕豆鱼 or like broad bean fish. It's not because the fish is cooked with broad bean, but because the fish, the grass carp, they are fed with broad bean, so supposedly it enriches the flesh, so it tastes better. We'll see. Home raised chicken, cabbage dug up from the field, fish caught in a pond. Farm to table dinner in China. There's also this delicious semi-shredded eggplant, but the broad bean fish is a true highlight. As anticipated, grass carp is just about the most ordinary fish in China, yet the grass carp here is anything but ordinary, especially the stir-fried version. The flesh is outrageously bouncy. Cold up slices push back against my bite like coil springs. The more you chew, the more the broad bean enhanced sweetness is released, further elevated by the robust seasoning comprising green chili, dried red chili, chili powder, Sichuan pepper, and more. What a blowout meal. Then a casual stroll around the surrounding countryside. Everything is so tranquil. Hard to imagine this was a fiercely contested battlefield some thousands of years ago. Time to say goodbye to Hanzhong, a city with lots of history, lots of stories, and lots of delicacies. 再见!